Bhakta Sean volunteered since he's learning Bengali, but he's is he going to chant? Or first, there's some also Bengali or speakers here, so maybe we can we'll switch it around. You can do this first one, Bhakti Sean, since you asked.
Yes, Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes.
Yeah, I can read also if you give the permission after Bhakta Shan Prabhu.
Okay, great. So this one he'll do and the next one you'll do.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Vishnugada Prabhu. I will do my best. Please accept my discrepancies, but I will do my best. Hare Krishna. Okay. Text 40. Jagat Vyapya Modahabe Punya Kyati Shuki Haiya Loka Moda Gahibeka Kirti.
Thank you. If the fruits are distributed all over the world, my reputation as a pious man will be known everywhere, and thus all people will glorify my name with great pleasure. Purport. This prediction of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is now actually coming to pass. The Krishna consciousness movement is being distributed all over the world through the chanting of the holy name of the Lord, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And people who are leading confused, chaotic lives are now feeling transcendental happiness. They are finding peace in Sankirtan, and therefore they are acknowledging the supreme benefit of this movement. This is the blessing of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. His prediction is now factually being fulfilled, and those who are sober and conscientious are appreciating the value of this great movement.
Text 41. ভারত ভূমিতে হইল মনুষ্য জন্ম যার জন্ম সার্থক করি করো পরোপকার.
Thank you. Could you chant it one more time?
Yes. ভারত ভূমিতে হইল মনুষ্য জন্ম যার জন্ম সার্থক করি করো পরোপকার.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes.
I would like to chant. It's an important sloka.
Yes, this is a very important shloka, so we will, you can chant it, sure, certainly.
Bharata bhumita hoila manusya janmaya janma sartha kari kara para upakar.
Thank you. Since it's such an important verse, let's read the word for word translations. Bharata of India, Bhumite, in the land, Hoila has become, Manushya, human being, Janma, birth, Jad. If I understand correctly, the Y's in Bengali are usually pronounced like J's. Is that correct?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Manushya Janma, Jad, anyone. Janma, such a birth. Sarthaka, fulfillment. Kori, doing so. Koro, do. Para, others. Upakar, upakar, benefit. Translation, one who has taken his birth as a human being in the land of India, Bharat Barsha, should make his life successful and work for the benefit of all other people. Report. The magnanimity of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is expressed in this very important verse. See, as Ram Shyam Prabhu pointed out, very good. Although he was born in Bengal, and Bengalis therefore have a special duty toward him, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is addressing not only Bengalis, but all the inhabitants of India. It is in the land of India that actual human civilization can be developed. Human life is especially meant for God realization, as stated in the Vedanta Sutra, Atato Brahma Jigyasa. Anyone who takes birth in the land of India, Bharatvarsha, has the special privilege of being able to take advantage of the instruction and guidance of the Vedic civilization. He automatically receives the basic principles of spiritual life. For 99% of the Indian people, even simple village farmers and others who are neither educated nor sophisticated, believe in the transmigration of the soul, believe in past and future lives, believe in God, and naturally want to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead or his representative. These ideas are the natural inheritance of a person born in India. India has many holy places of pilgrimage, such as Gaya, Benares, Mathura, Prayag, Vrindavan, Haridwar, Rameshwaram, and Jagannath Puri. And still, people go there by the hundreds and thousands. Although the present leaders of India are influencing the people not to believe in God, not to believe in a next life, and not to believe in a distinction between pious and impious life, and although they are teaching them how to drink wine, eat meat, and become supposedly civilized, people are nevertheless afraid of the four activities of sinful life, namely illicit sex, meat eating, intoxication, and gambling. And whenever there is a religious festival, they gather together by the thousands. We have actual experience of this whenever the Krishna consciousness movement holds the Sankirtan festival in a big city like Calcutta, Bombay, Madras, Ahmedabad, or Hyderabad. Thousands of people come to hear. Sometimes we speak in English, but even though most people do not understand English, they nevertheless come to hear us. Even when the imitation incarnations of Godhead speak, people gather in the thousands. For everyone who is born in the land of India has a natural spiritual inclination and is taught the basic principles of spiritual life. They merely need to be a little more educated in the Vedic principles. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says here, Janma sarthaka kori kora por upakar. If an Indian is educated in the Vedic principles, he is able to perform the most beneficial welfare activity for the most beneficial, I don't know, we lost it here. Oh, for the entire world. At present, for want of Krishna consciousness or God consciousness, the entire world is in darkness, having been covered by the four principles of sinful life: meat eating, illicit sex, gambling, and intoxication. Therefore, there is a need for vigorous propaganda to educate people to refrain from sinful activities. This will bring peace and prosperity. The rogues, thieves, and debauchees will naturally decrease in number, and all of human society will be God conscious. The practical effect of our spreading the Krishna consciousness movement all over the world is that now the most degraded debauchees are becoming the most elevated saints. This is only one Indian's humble service to the world. If all Indians had taken to this path, as advised by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, India would have given a unique gift to the world, and thus India would have been glorified. Now, however, India is known as a poverty-stricken country. And whenever anyone from America or another opulent country goes to India, he sees many people lying by the footpaths for whom there are not even provisions for 2 meals a day. There are also institutions collecting money from all parts of the world in the name of welfare activities for poverty-stricken people, but they are spending it for their own sense gratification. Now, on the order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Krishna consciousness movement has been started, and people are benefiting from this movement. Therefore, it is now the duty of the leading men of India to consider the importance of this movement and train many Indians to go outside of India to preach this cult. People will accept it. There will be cooperation among the Indian people and among the other people of the world, and the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will then be fulfilled. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will then be glorified all over the world, and people will naturally be happy, peaceful, and prosperous, not only in this life, but also in the next. For as stated in Bhagavad Gita, anyone who understands Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, will very easily get salvation or freedom from the repetition of birth and death and go back home, back to Godhead. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, therefore, requests every Indian to become a preacher of his cult to save the world from disastrous confusion. This is not only the duty of Indians, but the duty of everyone. And we are happy that American and European boys and girls are seriously cooperating with this movement. Seriously cooperating with this movement. One should know definitely that the best welfare activity for all of human society is to awaken man's God consciousness or Krishna consciousness. Therefore, everyone should help this great movement. This is confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 22nd chapter, verse 35, which is next quoted in the Caitanya Charitamrita. Om Agyana Timirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Nama Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitang Jena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kata Maikyam Dadati Shat Pandantikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I'd first like to ask permission from the senior devotees present and not present, and also all the devotees, and also blessings to speak today on this, as Ram Shyam Prabhu, very important verse of the Caitanya Charitamrita, spoken by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, relayed by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. Permission and blessings. Thank you. So let's look at this verse scrutinizingly. You see, the first thing is Bharat Bhumite. Bharat Bhumite. Srila Prabhupada translates it there as of India. You see that? Of course, elsewhere, Srila Prabhupada describes that Bharat Bhumi can also mean the entire world. Yeah. So there are different Bharats who are famous in the Vedic literature. You have, who are they? Name some Bharats. Hello?
Bharat Barsa.
Yeah,
Chad
but who's
Bharat?
Jad Bharat? Yes. Any other famous Bharats?
Okay.
Come on, you
Bharat
know.
Maharaj. Bharat
Which,
Maharaj.
which
Maharaj.
there are several Bharat Maharajas. Which one?
Bharat, Ram Lakshman, Bharat Satrughan, Bharat.
Yeah. Ram Lakshman Shatrugna, Bharat Shatrugna. Yeah, the brother of Lord Ramchandra is a Bharat. Any other Bharats?
Kuntala's son.
Shakuntala's son. Yeah, actually, Vishvamitra and Shakuntala's son. His name is Dushyanta Bharat. And as I think Mother Golokananda Priya said, Bharat Maharaj, often when we think of Bharat Maharaj, we think of the Bharat Maharaj who was the son of Rishabdev. So Srila Prabhupada mentions in a purport in Srimad Bhagavatam that the earth previously was named Ilavrtavarsha. But after the reign of Bharat Maharaj, it was the earth's name was changed to Bharatvarsha. And so which Bharat are we talking? What are we talking about?
We are talking about Bharat Barsa, when it was entire world.
Yes, but which Bharat was it named after?
Son of the who started the Jain Dharma, you just said I'm getting it.
The son of Rishabdev.
Rishabdev, right.
Yes, very good,
Yes.
very good, yes. So Srila Prabhupada says sometimes people say it's after Dushyanta Bharat, the son of Shakuntala, but Prabhupada says he says that it's because named after the son of Rishabdev named Bharat Maharaj, who at one point had became attached to a deer, young deer, and became a deer in his next life. So then it's interesting to think, how did the earth get named that way? Nowadays, they auction off the naming rights of things like stadiums, things, and sometimes like what's the tallest mountain in the United States?
Pikes Peak.
Good guess, but no.
Okay.
Mount McKinley. You didn't know that? Mount McKinley. How did they get that name? Well, there was a president named McKinley, so during his reign, his administration, they did some exploration. So somebody said, we'll name it after the president. So then it became accepted. So of course, those names aren't very elevating. So this earth was named Bharat, and we can remember the activities of Bharat Maharaj and how he became Jad Bharat in his two future lives and went back to Godhead. So this name is very very it helps us to remember Krishna, whereas Mount McKinley or Lake Victoria or something like that won't help us in our spiritual life. So this is so sometimes it's Bharat Bhumi is considered the whole earth, and sometimes it's considered in this verse particularly, it's considered the land of India, which is very interesting. Because oftentimes we hear, the basic principle of spiritual life is we are not the body, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, Lord Krishna explains or teaches Arjuna. He first says, you're talking on the bodily platform, you're talking like a fool. And then He says, never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor will we ever cease to be. You and I will never cease to be. And we change our bodies. We change our bodies. You and I change our bodies. So, the idea of reincarnation or transmigration of the soul, which is mentioned here, that even the, common laborers in the field in India, they're aware of, that is revolutionary knowledge in the West. So anyway, ordinarily we say, we think of, we don't want to identify ourselves as Americans or Indians or Chinese or Russians or Venezuelans or Mexicans, etc. But here there's a distinction made about someone born in India, that they have a special privilege and special opportunities. And what is that special privilege and special opportunity?
Because the Indian born in India, they are very familiar, with the Vedic culture. They know about,
Yes, good. Because being born in India, you often get the opportunity. A person, I wasn't born in India, so I don't know, but for you, you had the opportunity to get exposed early in life to Vedic culture. Both the instruction and the activities, training of that culture. That culture, the basic part of that culture is to encourage a person to make progress toward their spiritual identity and to develop loving service of God. That's the whole background of the Vedic institution. It's like I went to Indiana last week, and they built a new park there, and so I went to sit in the park in the morning, chanting japa, and I sat down on a picnic table and under a shelter, and put up on the side of the shelter, there was a list given. And what was the list? Of all the rules and regulations for sitting and acting in the park. So as soon as you build something, you got to have rules, how to deal with it. You buy a gadget and you get it get it delivered to you, and you open the box, and then there's the gadget, and then along with the gadget there's a little piece of paper. What is that piece of paper?
Manual.
It's the instructions, how to use it, because you don't automatically know how to use it. You can try to figure it out on your own, but it doesn't work that way. So along with the new creation, there is the instructions about how to do it. You could try to speculate. You can try to speculate and figure it out, but you could make several mistakes and waste time. The efficient way is just read the instructions. So with the creation of the universe, along with that, the Vedic literatures are given instructions about what to do, how you're supposed to deal with this creation to make progress in life. So the Vedic aphorisms, asatoma
Sadgamayo,
sadgamaya, yeah,
tamasoma,
tamasoma jyotigama,
Mrityorma,
mrityoma amrityagamaya. So this is from the Upanishads, Brihad and Aranyaka Upanishad, that there's a admonition for human beings, according to the Vedas, particularly understood in India, that life is meant to go from the asat, means temporary, not true, satgamaya, to go to the eternal, go from darkness to light, go from death to deathlessness. That's the secret and the treasure of the Vedic literature. So even though on one hand we say, well, we're not Indian American, Chinese, etc. But given birth in India, it doesn't happen by chance.
Yeah.
It's by great fortune that one is born in India to have this opportunity. Now, a person may not use that opportunity, that's another thing, but they're given the chance to do that. This is a special thing, it's very special. Along with opportunity is responsibility. So the idea of your next life being given special opportunities in your next life based on your activities in this life is there in Bhagavad Gita. You know, Urdvam Gachanti Satvasta. You know this. Urdvam, those who are in the mode of goodness, who practice activities in the mode of goodness, following the 4 regulative principles, it's cleanliness, etc. They go up. They go to the higher planets. Madhyam Tishtanti Rajasa, that those people who are in the mode of passion get born in the middle planetary system. Ado Gachanti Tamasa, and those in the mode of ignorance go down either to the animal species or to the hellish planets. So according to our activities in this life, then we get our next birth, and it can be a favorable or unfavorable circumstance. So for us, we want to make sure that our next birth is the most favorable for making progress if we have to take a next birth. So being born in India is especially singled out here as a really a special privilege, and along with the privilege comes the responsibility. I was kind of surprised that Srila Prabhupada was talking about the responsibility of Bengalis, even among the Indians, that special responsibility of the Bengalis. That's very interesting. Mother Vindyavali has her hand up for some reason. I don't know why that is.
Bharat Bhumi, they used to say Karma Bhumi.
Karma Bhumi. And you explain.
Because we always feel that about our karma, and then because of my karma, I'm like this, I'm doing this. That's how we go, and then go to the temple and praying all the time.
Yes, like Srila Prabhupada said, it's true.
But other countries, they say it's Bhoga Bhumi.
They call it what?
Bhoga Bhumi means
Bhoga Bhumi. Okay.
enjoy the wealth and everything. They said.
I didn't know this. Boga Bhumis. So here in the United States is Boga Bhumi? Yeah. Also,
that's why everything becomes here.
Yeah, also the idea India is also called Punya Bhumi. And it's an interesting fact that, you know, there are different religions in the world, and sometimes when you get into the esoteric aspects, the secret advanced teachings of those religions, you know, like in the Judaic tradition, there's people who the esoteric and advanced teachings are in the Kabbalah. Have you heard of this? Kabbalah. So what is the special teaching, the Kabbalah? Reincarnation. That's the culmination of their teaching. But that's where the teachings from that are there in Bhagavad Gita and are prevalent in India that start there. They start there. So the idea that first one should make oneself successful. So one should first make his life successful. How are you going to make your life successful? Do you know any verses from Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, etc., that are emphasizing that particular point?
Yes, Savai Punsam Paro Dharma Yatu Bhakti Yadokshje Ahetukiya Pratihata Yayatma Suprasiddhate.
Translation, please.
So, Savai Punsam Paro Dharma. So, we have to follow the topmost religious activity. We are having so many activities like Pitri Dharma, Tri Dharmas, and also, but we have to follow the topmost dharma. Savai Punsam Paro Dharma Yato Bhakti Adakshya, to to do the loving devotional service for the Krishna, and by doing that, Savai punsam paro dharma yato bhakti adokshya ahaituki apratihata means without unmotivated and uninterrupted, so that we can please the Lord. Ya yatma suprasiddhati. So without motivation uninterrupted, we have to please the Lord. So that will be life.
Yeah. So Savai Pumsa, for the people, the best religion for human beings, Parodharma. So this is like in this verse it says, Bharat Bhumite Hoila Manushya Janmajar. For the human beings, there are 8,400,000 species of life, and all of those species are alive because of the presence of the soul. But it's only the human form of life, that we have the opportunity to make progress in spiritual life. So if we don't take that opportunity, the human life we have is spoiled or wasted. There's a verse in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam that I'd like to say that Srila Prabhupada also often quotes, and you may be familiar with this. It's a very nice verse. It goes like this. Labdva sudurlabhamidam bahu sambhavante manushyam artadam anityam apiha dhira turnam yateta napatet anumrityu yavan nishriyasya vishaya kalu sarvatasyat. After many, many births and deaths, one achieves the rare human form of life, which, although temporary, affords one the opportunity to attain the highest perfection. Thus, a sober human being should quickly endeavor for the ultimate perfection of life, as long as his body, which is always subject to death, has not fallen down and died. After all, sense gratification is available even in the most abominable species of life, whereas Krishna consciousness is possible only for a human being. That's 11th canto. Have you heard that verse before? Very nice verse. Some other verses that emphasize the point of using the human form of life for spiritual development and progress.
Here, Prabhuji, in Bhagavad Gita also, Manusyanam Sahasresu.
Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid yatati siddhaye yatatam api siddhanam kaschid mam viti tatvata. Yes. Out of many thousands of people, one may endeavor for perfection. And of those who've attained perfection, what does that mean? Attained perfection, they've come to the Brahman platform. Hardly one knows me in truth. Yeah, good. There's also a nice verse in the last chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. I don't know if you know this one. Nachat tasman manusheshu kaschid me priyakritama. You know this one?
Yeah.
You know this one?
Yeah, not very familiar, but yes.
He said, of all people in human society, that person who teaches the Bhagavad Gita to the devotees, they're the most dear to me, and never will there ever be anyone so dear. Very important point. Yeah. And here's another verse. Maybe you're familiar with this verse from the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. This is teachings by Rishabdev. Nayam deho deha bhajan riloke kashtam kaman arhati vidbhujange tapo divyam putrakaryena satvam shudyet yasmad brahma sokyam tvanantam. Lord Rishabdev told his sons, he was specially instructing his sons before he left and took sannyas. My dear boys, of all the living beings who have accepted material bodies in this world, one who has been awarded this human form should not work hard day and night simply for sense gratification, which is available even for the dogs and hogs that eat stool. One should engage in penance and austerity to attain the divine position of devotional service. By such activity, one's heart is purified, and when one attains this position, he attains eternal, blissful spiritual life, which is transcendental to material happiness and which continues forever. Rishabdev, 5th canto. And then I'll give you one more. This is another one, which is very interesting. I'll just say the English for this. 5th canto. Since the human form of life is the sublime position for spiritual realization, all the demigods in heaven speak in this way. This is how they speak. How wonderful it is for these human beings to have been born in the land of Bharatvarsha. They must have executed pious acts of austerity in the past, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself must have been pleased with them. Otherwise, how could they engage in devotional service? We demigods can only aspire to achieve human births in Bharatvarsha in order to execute devotional service. But these human beings are already engaged there. Very nice verses from the Srimad Bhagavatam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes.
I also think that the sloka that we learned, Kaler Dosh Nidhe Rajan, Eko hi Mahan Guna,
Yeah, come on.
is Kirtanad Ev Krishnasya Mukta Sangha Param Brajet. So that's
Yes.
also helpful in making our life successful when we do the kirtan.
Yes.
Is it good?
Very good. Thank you. Thank you. This age of Kali is an ocean, Dosha Nidhe, ocean of problems. Dosha Nidhe Rajan, O king. Astihi Eka Mahan Guna, but there's one good quality about it. Kirtanadeva Krishnasya. Just by chanting this, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, having Sankirtan, Mukta Sangha, one becomes free from material attachments, entanglements, Param Brajet, and able to reach the supreme destination. So in this verse, Lord Chaitanya is not only encouraging devotees to make progress themselves, but also the last part of it is para upakar. Upakar means what? Para upakar. For others, also work for others' benefit. So there's many of those verses we quoted, they're talking about one's own benefit. But here, Lord Chaitanya is encouraging, and his movement is really focused on making progress oneself, but not stopping there. Part of the progress that one makes, it must include spreading Krishna consciousness to others. Upakar, welfare work. And this welfare work that Lord Chaitanya has particularly exemplified and encouraged was spreading the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, the congregational chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, the understanding of Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and associated literatures, Caitanya Caritamrita, and also another important way of spreading Krishna consciousness for the benefit of people is, any ideas?
Prasadam.
Yeah, Krishna Prasadam. These are, Srila Prabhupada described that as the secret weapon. Why? Because people think they're just eating. But actually, that's not just ordinary food. It's a transcendental substance. And by taking it, the heart consciousness becomes purified. So these three main weapons, activities are especially important welfare work for the human society. And the Krishna consciousness movement is focused on experiencing and practicing them us ourselves, and also introducing, giving other people the opportunity in the world to appreciate and taste the fruit that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is encouraging and so strongly encouraging us to do, to give other people that opportunity. Any questions or comments about this verse more?
Fifth canto, Prabhuji, the one which you...
One thing is that Prabhupada said only the people from India, but the European and the American boy who are joined also, they should all help.
Yeah, that's why we have the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So that people all over the world, and not just Indians, but people all over the world, they will work together, cooperate together to push on and spread and enliven this Krishna consciousness movement. Sometimes we hear criticism about I don't know if you've ever heard this, the Hinduization of Iskcon. Have you heard this before?
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if there's an exact meaning of that, or exact what the people is. I would take it that, sometimes activities which aren't necessarily bona fide or following the principles of the acharyas, which may be kind of traditional in India, but they're not part of this line of disciplic succession's teachings, might be tried to introduce. But there also could be some element in that statement of lack of appreciation of Vedic culture too, or as is exemplified sometimes when people hold programs and they restrict who can attend those programs based on the body. During Srila Prabhupada's manifest presence, I know of no program ever where people were restricted from attending based on their ethnicity or place of origin. I don't know anyone. Never heard of it. It's true though that within Iskcon, sometimes people would think that Americans aren't qualified, or Indians aren't qualified, and stuff like that. Well, those things are coming from the bodily platform. Actually, anybody who is practicing Krishna consciousness sincerely, they will have potency and have the ability to please Krishna. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya says, Je bhaje she boro, abhakta hin cha, Krishna bhajana nahi jati kuladi bicha. Anybody who's serving Krishna, who's worshiping Krishna, they're she boro, they're great. Abhakta hincha, but a non-devotee we don't give much appreciation to. Abhakta hincha. Krishna bhajana nahi, but when you worship Krishna, jati kuladi bicha, you don't consider their ethnicity, birth, man, woman, ethnicity, caste, jati, kuladi, family, bicha. You don't consider these things. So the Krishna Consciousness Movement, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, is meant to join people together to worship Krishna together. And sometimes there's a little bit of challenge to do that, because every part of the world, they have different customs and stuff. For example, usually if you read about, in counseling literature, dealing with Indian people, but from Americans, what happens is the Americans usually think that Indians are sneaky. Did you know this? You can read this in like counseling literature. And why is that? Well, they say that, well, you know, because Indian culture or Vedic culture, usually people live in joint families, and so they don't, you know, if there's a conflict, they don't necessarily deal with it directly. They go through somebody else, and that way they go kind of behind them. Whereas in America, people go right on your face and they criticize you to your face. So the Indian people think the Americans are very brutish or rude, and the Americans think the Indians are sneaky. That's the stereotypical. But these are just material points. If we communicate on the basis of Krishna consciousness, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, chanting the holy name together, those things push aside all those kind of stereotypical disturbances so that we can unite in glorifying Lord Chaitanya, spreading his mission, and the potency of this Hare Krishna movement will become very strongly manifest.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Is that Krishna Kirtan, Prabhu?
Yeah, Hare Krishna. So
You have some comment about that?
Yeah, that's a very nice point. With chanting Sankirtan, what happens is, you know, people forget with their differences, and really everyone relishes, and there's a relationship within and without improves. We had last Sunday, we had a mega Mahaharinam, almost more than 40 devotees joined. So my request—
That's wonderful.
Yeah, thank you. My request, and that's whole American, Indian, everything, like, and we found everyone was very joyful, those who are hearing. So my request is that if you can put in the calendar, only these things works. So when we put in annual calendar that these are the days we are going, so some other, because we know that we are spreading in Krishna consciousness inside the temple, but people cannot hear that. You know, it's good, but we have to go out. It's good for us and good for others. They will know our presence, and we can see a lot of people will benefit it simply by hearing this sound. Not only humans, every other species also, they'll be benefited. So my request is to somehow or other put in the calendar, and things will work out. And day by day,
what are we supposed to put in the calendar?
That what days we are doing the Harinam.
Aha. Isn't it true? Now, I'm giving you a little bit of a special time here. Isn't it true that in June in the Delaware Krishna Village, you usually have a Kirtan Mela?
Yes. Thank you for.
And when is the date? What is the date to put on the calendar?
25th, June 25th.
25th June.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's advertised. So these kinds of activities, these kind of there it is right there. Next year.
So I will send by.
So we can go there and chant together for Lord Chaitanya's pleasure and associate with devotees and distribute prasadam. Also, June 11th is the Rath Yatra in New York City. People are these are big events where the opportunity is to influence and spread Krishna consciousness to big, large groups of people, one by one. And then I think the weekend, Memorial Day weekend, which day is it on for Baltimore Rath Yatra? Does anybody know? No?
28th. It's the 28th. Saturday. The 28th.
Saturday, May 28th. Yeah. So these are especially good opportunities to gather, and whether you're from all different backgrounds, come together to chant the holy names of the Lord, speak Krishna consciousness, and distribute prasad and take prasad. Srila Prabhupada especially liked these programs. In the Rath Yatra, Srila Prabhupada, even though he was incredibly busy and he had so many things to do, he would travel, across the world to attend Rath Yatras in Chicago and San Francisco, in London, in South Africa. So, he would do it. During the time of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Shivananda Sen and all the devotees of Bengal would travel by foot more than 100 miles, more than several hundred miles, to go to Puri every year to serve Lord Chaitanya and Lord Jagannath. So it's a big deal. It's a big deal. It's one part of this para upakar, because we can do all kinds of welfare work, but the real welfare work is for the person, not just the physical body. And if we do the welfare work nicely for the person, all their happiness will be assured, the soul. Okay. Other questions, comments, additions, subtractions? Bharat Bhumiti Hoila Manusha Janma Jar, Janma Sartaka Kari Karapu Upakar. So there's a purpose in life. This is the Lord Chaitanya is giving a purpose. Pradhanath Prabhu has his hand raised, I see.
Hare
Yes,
Krishna,
Pradhanath Prabhu.
I just remembered one verse. I don't remember the Sanskrit shloka, but where Prahlad Maharaj talks about from early childhood that one has to engage in Krishna consciousness to perfect the human form of life.
Omara Acharit Pragyo Dharman Bhagavataniha. I don't remember the last one. Yeah. Very good, very good. Prahlad Maharaj's speeches are very pertinent also. And yeah. Te vidu svarta gatim hi Vishnu dorashaya je bahirartamanini. People in general, we don't know. The purpose of life is to attain the lotus feet of Vishnu. We get distracted by other things. Bahirarta manina.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I figured that Mother Mitravinda would have something to add here.
Thank you so much.
I was right.
System obeisances, all glory to Srila Prabhupada. I just wanted to add, there are so many ways we in these human bodies striving to become Krishna conscious can be distracted, and that to hear things that relate to the body, even though we are not our bodies, as we see in the world, some bodies get more prestige based on the body. This is one of the sad things involved with human nature. And other bodies get less in various ways. So in regards to us aspiring to become devotees, Vaishnavas, I just wanted to add that it's hearing these perfect words and information and knowledge, that we don't get distracted by land birth or where someone is born, hearing these words and increase our false ego. And remember Trinadapi Sunichena, this verse of Shastakam, which involves having humility and not getting stuck in what we hear about our bodies, positive or negatively. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Anything else?
Hare Krishna.
Oh, there's Bhakti Shan. Hare Krishna.
So on the other side, there's a Bhakti Vinod Thakur song that I've been studying, and the first stanza, I guess, would Dhorlaba Manaba Janma Labhiya Shangshare Krishna Na Bhajinu Duka Kahibo Kahare. So this human form of life is the rarest opportunity for attaining spiritual perfection. But now I am lamenting because I have somehow or other been born with such an opportunity, and I wasted it by never worshiping Lord Krishna. Oh, to whom shall I tell this tale of misery? So it's like if we don't take this opportunity, at some point we'll like recognize that we wasted this human form of life. So this other side of maybe we recognize it or not, but we have this really great opportunity somehow or other, having come in touch with Krishna consciousness, to be able to utilize our life. So I'm grateful for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, this theme is such a powerful theme that runs through all kinds of Vedic literatures and bhajans and everything that take the opportunity. We take the opportunity in this human form of life before our next death, because death is coming. It'll help us become sober and serious, sincere in our quest to become more sincere and humble and Krishna conscious persons. Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindhubhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you very
Caitanya Mahaprabhu Gaura Ki jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much.